sensitivity is the basis of all virtues, including generosity, what is called dana in Pali. Dana is followed by sila, the discipline, and the discipline is followed by bhavana, the Buddhist meditation. This Buddhist meditation is a technique for the progressive development of sensitivity. In Buddhist meditation, the basic factor is being mindful, attentive to all sensations. Being mindful is being conscious and sensitive to all that the mind comes in contact with through sensory organs. Buddhist mindfulness is a combination between sensitivity and instinctive wisdom that gradually directs one to enlightenment. One of the main qualities of an enlightened mind is its supermost sensitivity beyond all bounds, boundless sensitivity, unlimited sensitivity. Even in unenlightened lay life, a sensitive person having sensitive feelings for others indiscriminately, unbiasedly, impartially, is a virtuous person. A person who is naturally attentive, friendly, kind-hearted, compassionate, delightful, helpful, and generous. With the development of these sublime qualities, the individual consciousness of a self-centered being can be turned into the universal consciousness, the boundless universal consciousness attributed in Hinduism to a universal self called Atman in Sanskrit. Buddha, who originally followed the Hindu system of meditation to realize this universal self, ultimately developed a vision of selflessness at his enlightenment, but became universally conscious without any individual self within himself or anywhere in the universe. The basic teaching of the Buddha is based on selflessness called anattata. According to Buddha's vision, there is no self either within oneself or outside oneself in the universe. According to Buddha, there is no permanent self as believed by the Hindus, because they believe in a permanent, eternal self or soul called Atman. Not only Hinduism, many other religions believe in an indestructible, universal self. Christians believe, Catholics believe, then Israelis believe in Judaism, Muslims believe. But there is no belief of a eternal self in Buddhism. But Buddhism is being universally conscious. Even in Hinduism, there is a belief in universal consciousness, and they identify that universal consciousness to the Paramatman or the Brahmatman that they call the eternal self of the universe. This Hindu system was the belief of the original family in which Jiddu Krishnamurti was born and bred. One of his mystical experience that he underwent in 1922 and recorded as it was told by him in number of his lectures, that experience is similar to the experience one may undergo according to the 29th stanza in the Bhagavad Gita, the most basic, fundamental collection of slokas regarding Hinduism or Brahmanism or the Vedic doctrine. Krishnamurti refers to his awakening on the 22nd of in 1922 as his most extraordinary mystic experience he ever had. These are the words regarding that particular mystic experience. He says, there was a man mending the road. That man was myself. He was identifying himself, he felt he was that man. The pickaxe he held was myself. The very stone he was breaking was a part of me. A car was passing by. I was the driver, the engine, the tires. I was in everything. Rather, everything was in me. This is similar to the experience of Vedic yogic experience, the Vedic mystic experience mentioned in the 29th stanza of the 6th chapter in the Bhagavad Gita. The Sanskrit words run as this: Sarva bhutastam atmanam, Sarva bhutani chatmani. It is translated into English like this: self is in all things and all things in the self. Here, self is the self of the Paramatman, the absolute ultimate self of Brahman. Brahman, Atman was this self. And Hindu believe, according to this stanza, that Atman, that soul is omnipresent. It is everywhere. in everything. And it is in you. And you are also part and parcel of that Atman, the universal self within you. Even modern scientists now have discovered through their experiments that there is a universal consciousness that is omnipresent, that is present in each and every item in this universe. There is consciousness even in an atom, even in a subatomic particle. In every cell there is a consciousness, universal consciousness. And every being is a drop of water in the ocean of consciousness according to the latest scientific discoveries. And therefore, this mystic experience of Jiddu Krishnamurti regarding his awakening is going parallel to the revelation made in the Bhagavad Gita, as well as the revelation made by the modern scientists. Buddhist meditation is being sensitive to the universal consciousness. Even when we observe the activities of the universe, the manifestation of the universal consciousness in everything and being, we can see for ourselves an altruistic love, selfless love, selfless benevolence. Benevolence is the basis of this universal power, the universal energy. Being benevolent means being in altruistic love, selfless love, referred to in Buddhism as metta in Pali and Maitri in Sanskrit. Buddha referred to this as a basic quality of the Mahabrahma. Mahabrahma was the highest god that the North Indians believed at the time of the Buddha. Brahma was a Vedic god. He was the creator god in Veda. He was the highest god in Hinduism. Even now, Hindus meditate, practice Hinduism or Vedic religion to be part and parcel of that Brahma Atman. That is called Brahma Sahavyata. With the theory of education in going from the known to the unknown, Buddha too used that Hindu or Vedic belief in Mahabrahma. And in number of instances, he has mentioned, not only he himself, every Buddha preaches to the world the behavior of Brahma. In Pali it is called Brahmacharya. The words of the Buddha regarding this is, so Dhamman Deseti, when every Buddha preaches Dhamma, their mission, their doctrine, So Dhamman Deseti, Brahmacharyan Pakaseti. They declare the behavior of the Brahma. Therefore, Buddhism can be called a mission preaching to the world the behavior of the Brahma. Buddha referred to a fourfold behavior of the God Brahma. The fourfold behavior are called in Pali Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekka. Metta is altruistic love, selfless benevolence towards all beings and things. Karuna normally can be translated into kindness, but here it is compassion, altruistic compassion. Then mudita is translated as altruistic joy. Human nature has a particular defect. That is, when they see others are enjoying what they wish to enjoy but what they don't have, they feel jealous of those who enjoy their ideal delights. That's called jealousy. Here, jealousy is not being happy with the happiness of others. The happiness based on goodness. Therefore, this jealousy is reluctant to accept the good that happens to others. In Buddhist meditation, according to Buddha's explanation, mudita, the word is also used to express the reluctance to be holy, virtuous and good, or getting fed up with being good. That normally happens to human beings because sometimes their being virtuous will not get the real benefit that they expect from being virtuous or being good. For example, you help others, you become generous, but very difficult to get the appreciation of that goodness that you do, the gratitude. It's a very rare item in the modern society. But mudita means doing good, expecting nothing in return, but just enjoying doing good, being helpful to others. And that is called equanimity, the fourth quality of the Brahma. Upekka, expecting nothing in return. In the Tevijja Sutta of the Digha Nikaya and the Drona Sutta of the Anguttara Nikaya, Buddha explained to Brahmins in these two discourses that Buddha's disciple who cultivate the qualities of the Brahma, if they cannot get enlightened in this life, they can be reborn in the Brahma world. That is the Brahma Sahavyata. They can be the company of the Brahma in the Brahma world. And in Puggala Sutta he says, such disciples, the Buddhist disciples, can realize Nibbana in the Brahma world itself and pass away into Paranibbana at the end of their life in the Brahma world. What are these qualities? As I mentioned you earlier, metta, karuna, mudita and upekkha. Those are the qualities the Buddha's disciple practice. And those qualities are there even in the enlightened one who realize the Nibbana. When one is enlightened, one is full of pure metta, benevolence, friendliness. Metta or mitra, maitri, mitratva in Sanskrit, mittata in Pali means friendliness, being friendly to others, being helpful to others. Then karuna, being compassionate, trying to help others who are suffering, to get them some release from their pains of mind. Then mudita is altruistic joy, that is being happy about the happiness and the virtues of others. Then upekkha, being equanimous. In the Maharahulawada Sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya, Buddha explained these 4 sublime qualities of Mahabrahma to Reverend Rahula, his own son, the infant son. He said, these are the words used by the Buddha explaining these 4 qualities to Reverend Rahula. Mettam bhavanam bhavayato so vyapado so pahijati. When you cultivate benevolence, friendliness, called metta, vyapado, ill will, disappears. It means friendliness is the opposite of ill will. Anger, resentment or hatred. Then karuna, compassion, kindness. When you develop kindness, karuna, what happens? Vihesa pahisi. Vihesa means the desire to hurt others, the need to hurt others. That also based on ill will. It disappears. That means extreme sensitivity. You become helpful to others through metta because you are very sensitive to others' suffering. You become very kind-hearted and compassionate towards others because you are sensitive to the pains and suffering of others. Then you say mudita bhavana. When you develop altruistic joy, arati payisati. Arati disappears. Arati means the reluctance to do good or to be good or the goodness or the prosperity of others. Their virtues, their happiness, their delight. When others are delighted, many find difficult to be delighted on the delight of others. But here, being sensitive, being friendly, being compassionate, one is capable of enjoying the delight of others. The most important quality is when there is upekkha, patigo payisati. The resentment disappears. That means upekkha is the ability to take things as they are. In fact, it is taking things as they are with neither attachment nor resentment. Taking things as they are. That is referred to in Buddhist literature as yatha bhuta Jnana Darsana, seeing things as they are. Not going to change the world. That also means being sensitive. When you are sensitive, you know that this is his nature or that is the nature of something else. That it means when you are sensitive, you are not in conflict with things and beings in this world, in this life. That means you can lead a harmonious life when you are sensitive. In fact, sensitivity in Buddhism is nothing but wisdom. It is the insight of wisdom that makes one sensitive. What happens after enlightenment? One becomes extremely sensitive. Extremely sensitive means extremely conscious of things and beings, their feelings. Even before enlightenment, in our lay life, if you are sensitive, that sensitive is the basis of all our virtues, as I mentioned at the beginning. The basic Buddhist discipline called Panchasila, fivefold discipline. What is the fivefold discipline? The first discipline is not killing or harming others. That is called Panatipata Veramani. You cannot hurt or kill others because you are sensitive. If you are sensitive, you can't hurt others because you are sensitive to their feelings. That is called empathy in English. But the second discipline, the basic discipline in Buddhism, Adinnadana, robbing, stealing, taking things of others that is not given to you, stealing. You can't hurt others if you are sensitive by stealing their possessions. Then Kamesa Michachara. It may be adultery, sexual misbehavior. That also can hurt. The normal sexual partners, if you have behave with a partner or somebody. If you are sensitive, you can't hurt a partner by misbehaving with his or her partner. Musavada Veramani. You can't tell a lie. You can't mislead others by telling lies. Hurt others by telling lies if you are sensitive. Then Suramere Majjapamadatthana. Taking intoxicants excessively. That means getting intoxicated to a level of senselessness. If you are intoxicated, you don't know how you behave. It can be very harmful both to yourself and to others through intoxication. If you are sensitive, you know the limit of intoxicants and you don't go beyond the limit. That is because of sensitivity. Therefore, the Buddhist discipline is also based on sensitivity. Before that discipline called Sila, there comes the Dana. Dana, Sila, Bhavana, as I mentioned earlier. The progressive steps towards enlightenment. Generosity, giving. You become generous and give whatever you can give to the needy. Because you are so sensitive, you feel their need and you give whatever you can give to others, donations, alms, or food or anything. You may feed a bird, you may feed birds or animals. That is true sensitivity regarding their hunger. It is such a sensitive person that can be disciplined, as I mentioned earlier, without being a burden to others, without being a person who can hurt others. You can't hurt others if you are sensitive. It is with this sensitivity you become disciplined both in your words and deeds. It is after that discipline you can discipline your mind. Buddhist meditation is discipline the mind. Discipline the mind means the mind become a disciple of the Buddha. Who is the Buddha? Buddha is the wisdom within you. Not the Buddha who passed away more than 2500 years back. But there's a Buddha within everybody, because everybody who is unenlightened has the capacity to become a Buddha. Maybe Samma Sambuddha, perfectly enlightened one, or Pacceka Buddha called a silent Buddha, or a Savaka Buddha called a disciple Buddha, awakened one. It is an awakening very close to enlightenment that I mentioned earlier with regard to the experience of Jiddu Krishnamurti. It can be the penultimate enlightenment. As I am not enlightened, I don't know. As I am not a Buddha, I can't say whether Krishnamurti was enlightened or not. But one thing was very clear to me. He was an awakened person with high spiritual advancement, spiritual powers within him. When I saw him for the first time for more than 60 years back, I was seated in the passage he was passing through to reach the stage on which he was giving a lecture. When he was passing by, I felt something like a shock. I can't explain it. I was bathed in pure mental power of mental purity. It was something like a light, but it is a very cool light. My entire mind, my entire body got soaked in that light. It was emanating from his entire personality. Such an emanation of spiritual power can be available in Krishnamurti unless he has reached some high stage of enlightenment. But unfortunately, he didn't have the quality of a perfectly enlightened man called Samma Sambuddha. He had the quality of a silent Buddha. The difference between a Buddha and the Pacceka Buddha is a Buddha can realize nirvana without the guidance and help of a teacher. But he can guide many others to be enlightened as he got enlightened. He knew the technique of enlightenment. He knew how to teach others to be enlightened. But a silent Buddha can get enlightened by himself, but he cannot get others to be enlightened by his teaching. He cannot guide others. Even though Krishnamurti, with such spiritual powers, delivered lectures throughout the world for more than 60 years. He couldn't get one of his disciples to be enlightened, to be awakened, because he did not know the path to enlightenment. In 1929, he dissolved a vast organization created by the Theosophical Society to accept him as a world teacher preaching a new religion about the truth. 1929, dissolving that big organization, about over 3,000 members, he said, the truth is a pathless land. That means he knew the truth at that time, but he did not know the path to attain the truth. It may be because he had the quality of a silent Buddha. But his teachings, I listened to hundreds of his lectures. I have seen him number of times. And I have no doubt that he was a highly enlightened person. And it is only through his teachings that I could understood what the Buddha is reported to have taught the world. In the Buddhist canon, we get words, sentences, stanzas uttered by the Buddha. They are only symbols of the doctrine he was preaching, but not the doctrine himself. And there are a number of commentaries made by several disciples, scholars, enlightened monks, explaining those words, sentences and stanzas. But those commentaries contain only ideas. For example, the reality called nirvana is not the word nirvana. The word nirvana is only a symbol, not the real nirvana. Any description contains only ideas of the one who describes nirvana. Nirvana is not an idea, it's a reality. But by listening to Krishnamurti, I could understand to a great extent the doctrine preached by the Buddha. That doesn't mean I got enlightened. You see, in getting enlightened, we have to pass through 3 stages. First, there is the Sutta Jnana, the knowledge we acquire by listening. Then comes the second stage, Chintamaya Jnana, the experience that we get, the understanding we get by thinking. Then the third stage is Bhavanamaya Jnana, that is meditation. Being absorbed in those ideas and going beyond the idea to see the reality. And that is possible only through the Buddhist meditation called Vipassana Bhavana. To meditate, one has to be extremely sensitive, as I mentioned earlier, and what remains after enlightenment is that extreme sensitivity to be universally benevolent. It is with that benevolence, perfect benevolence, altruistic benevolence, that Buddha advised his first 61 disciples who got enlightened. They advised him, go in different direction. Let only one go in one direction. No two enlightened ones should go in the same direction. And they should preach their realization to the world for their benefit. These are the words reported to have been spoken by the Buddha. Charata bhikkave charikam bahujana hitaya bahujana sukhaya lokanukampaya. Preach bahujana hitaya, for the benevolence of, for the benefit of many people. Bahujana sukhaya, for the benefit and blessings of many people. Lokanukampaya, with compassion. Compassion means sensitivity. Therefore, throughout the Buddhist path towards enlightenment, the base quality we have to cultivate is sensitivity. It is cultivating this sensitivity to the utmost level that we call Buddhist meditation, and we will discuss further about different aspects of this Buddhist meditation to understand what Buddhist meditation is. We have to inquire into the words spoken by the Buddha, the words spoken by the commentators, as well as the words spoken by highly enlightened beings like Krishnamurti, to realize what this supreme bliss of nirvana is. And that enlightenment, to realize the supreme bliss, is a future event, but the present event should be to be sensitive. Sensitivity is the basis of all virtues and the basis of the Buddhist doctrine to preach by the Buddha. And that sensitivity was the basic quality of the Buddha as reported in the Buddhist canon.